together for this virtual meet organized by none other than our Jigri Dost, Dr. Chauhan and his team. And I'm thankful to our physician forum to make chairperson this time again. My pious duty to introduce our speaker today, none other than one of us, Dr. P.K. Mangla. He is a senior consultant pulmonologist with experience of more than 37 years. He is a faculty and monthly presentation of National College of Chest and Physicians at India Habitat Center for more than 20 years. He is member of International Association of the Study of Lung Cancer. He has chaired many national and international conferences and international bronchologies. You must be reminded that he is the one who he was the first to have his personal bronchoscope in Delhi. So I will not spend more time in his praise because he is one of us, and if any of us he doesn't know him, means he has not been attending our program regularly. So he is a very good orator, a physician par excellence, and a person very, very gentle and very honest to his profession. So I'll hand over to Dr. Mangla for his deliberation, and in the end we will have interactions. Thank you. Sir, Dr. Mangla. Dr. Mangla, sir? Hello?
Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yeah. Yes, sir, please.
Thank you, Dr. Kalra, for nice words. Let me come to the presentation straight. You see, today's talk is on influenza or adult vaccination. Mainly for influenza, we will be covering about the DPT vaccine also at the end of the talk, a few slides on that. You see, influenza, if I have to say, looks like khansi, zukam, some viral fever. But mind you, even in people who have no comorbidities or who have no chronic lung conditions, influenza somebody gets is a terrible thing. Coughing, body aches, fever, nose block. You can't work if you are having this. And you see, in most of the people on third day, the symptoms are worse, then they start getting better. In a week to 10 days, you are back to yourself. And it is said, okay, kuch nahi, khansi zukam ho gaya. But in patients who are asthmatics, who are COPD, who have congestive heart failure, who have bronchiectasis, or who have asthma or allergic tendencies, some patients have asthma, some patients have cough variant asthma. That means their cough lasts for a longer time. It is a dreaded thing for them if they start having this flu. You see, they are gone kind of, that next few months are going to be horrible. White sputum, yellow sputum, inhalers, this antibiotic, diarrhea, this. So it's a horrible thing. For these people, it will not be an exaggeration if I say it is a kind of a, fire in a dry jungle. It will take a minute to start, and you will need lots of water. And here by water we mean lot of treatment, steroids, everything. And in spite of that, you see, it will take few months, 1 to 3 months. And once it starts, whatever you do, whether you start antibiotics, you start steroids, it does trickle down in your chest, and you are heading for a problem. So only option is to prevent it. Prevent it means influenza vaccination. And it is not 100%, but it is my experience on myself and in one of my patients who was, coming so frequently to me and had some bronchiectasis. Then I suggested her that you take this vaccine, and I found that she had disappeared and only appeared after a year to tell me that wo tika laga dijiye. Uske baad se main theek rahi. So I was also convinced that this thing really works. So with this background, I would like to start. You see, it is the immune status of the individual. the immature newborn immune system develops throughout adolescence and into adulthood. As adult age, immune system function, deteriorates in the process known as immunosenescence, in which genetic and environmental factors play a role. Next, please. Increasing age is associated with higher risk of chronic health conditions like hypertension, cardiovascular disease, diabetes mellitus, chronic lung disease, bone and joint diseases. Next, please. And Indian adults in general are under-immunized. Adult vaccination programs are very weak. Now we know that as the newborn is born, there is a regular program and all the children are vaccinated well. There is some data from Adult Vaccination Center, AIIMS, Jodhpur. If you see the post-exposure prophylaxis for tetanus is 42%, and for anti-rabies vaccines is 20%. And if you were to ask for pre-exposure prevention, it is 15% for yellow fever, hepatitis B is 8%, pneumococcal vaccine is 7%, typhoid is 3%, and influenza is 1%. Next, please. We have to come for the benefits of this influenza vaccine. Influenza is not only a kind of a viral illness, it has very wide spectrum. If we were to consider the immunological and genetic part, predilection, it can result in seizures, TB syndrome, encephalopathies, or cardiovascular. People can develop acute myocardial infarction, stroke, venous thromboembolism, heart failure, myocarditis. People can develop, dehydration, develop acute kidney injury. Diabetics can, their metabolic control can go haywire. They can go into ketosis and, lots of infections. And because there is a impaired immunity, post-viral or post-influenza pneumonias are very deadly, especially the staph pneumonias, the cavitating pneumonias, which can develop into pneumothorax, pneumothorax. Even because the immunity goes down, the streptococcus pneumoniae and Haemophilus influenzae, part of the community-acquired pneumonias, also happen. And mainly, they can have viral pneumonias, they can have bacteriological pneumonia, and there can be exacerbation of asthma and COPD. Next, please. We all understand that diabetes, is a kind of a diabetic is a kind of an immunocompromised individual. There is a T lymphocyte function goes down, the neutrophilic function goes down, and all, cytokines are less, hyperglycemia in diabetics. So overall, the immunity status of the diabetic is low, and any patient who is admitted in the hospital, either in the ward or in the ICU, if he is a diabetic, then there is a definite extra risk because the sugars go high, haywire, and they are more prone to develop infections. If you were to compare a diabetic and a non-diabetic, you will find that the diabetics have a poor prognosis as compared to the non-diabetics. These studies are in plenty. Next, please. People with diabetes experience more serious outcomes following the influenza infection. And influenza infection in people with diabetes leads to much higher, infection and much more chances of getting infected. Next, please. Influenza vaccination was associated with hospitalization rates reduction for cardiovascular outcomes in people with type 2 diabetes. Hospitalization for heart failure is reduced by 22% by influenza vaccination, 30% hospitalization for stroke, and 19% hospitalization for acute MI. Next, please. There are lots of benefits of influenza vaccination in the risks in the adults who are at risk. Next, please. If we were to discuss about the influenza vaccine, this influenza vaccine, this GSK vaccine is more effective because it's a split vaccine, and the other vaccines are subunit vaccines. If you have to understand what is a split vaccine, that means it has more antigens. It has surface antigens and it has internal antigens. So the clinical effectiveness is much higher and the reactogenicity is much higher. The split virion vaccine had greater clinical effectiveness in subunit vaccines among adults more than 50 years of age. Next, please. There are recommendations for influenza vaccination in at-risk individuals. WHO, ECDC, International Diabetes Federation, ADA, CDC, RSSS, DI, they all recommend that the patients of some conditions which I will discuss should be vaccinated. Next, please. You see, it is indicated for active immunization of children from 6 months to 64 years of age. These are the Indian recommendations for the prevention of influenza disease caused by 2 influenza A viruses and 2 influenza B viruses. There are 4 viruses in this. For A, H1N1 is a Victoria strain, and this strain has changed. Now it is Cambodia. Earlier it was Hong Kong. For H3N2, for B it is Washington, and Phuket. Phuket is the Yamagata, and it is a 0.5 ml dose and 15 microgram of each of these antigens in this vaccine. It comes in a pre-filled syringe. You just need to attach a needle to it and give an intramuscular injection. My recommendation as per is that we have not inquired, found out that after giving this vaccine, there is any reaction. But in my experience, only one patient, which I had, advised vaccination. Fortunately, I was at Max Hospital. He had hypertension. Fortunately, we had a emergency facility. We kept him for some time, and this patient was all right. Otherwise, it's a fairly safe vaccine. Next, please. The seroprotection, you see, for all the antigens is quite high. This antibody responses against the strains are fairly for 18 to 64 age groups. The post-vaccination antibody response is very good for all. Next, the safety in adults ages 18, more than 18 years, it is quite safe. You see, there may be pain, there may be redness, there may be swelling at the local site. You feel fatigued for a day. At times there are GI disturbance, there may be headache, there may be joint pain, muscle shivering, fever, but it is hardly, in 24 to 48 hours you are back to yourself, and there is no issues with this vaccine regarding these. But occasionally, certainly, it is a vaccine, there can be anaphylaxis very, very rarely. Next, please. You see, whom should we vaccinate? You see, the young, older adults and those with chronic conditions are at the greatest risk of influenza complications. And vaccination helps reduce influenza-related hospitalization in patients with diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and respiratory diseases. There is a global and local physician associations recommend annual influenza vaccine in adults more than 50 years and at risk patients. The GSK vaccine, the Fluarix Tetra, it's the world's first inactivated quadrivalent influenza vaccine, is a globally trusted and widely studied, including in adults. As I told you, you see, the advantage of this is it has more antigens. It has internal antigens and it has surface antigens. So its effectivity is much higher. You see, this is about the influenza vaccination. We can discuss the questions, but I would like to tell you, I would just like to add a bit about pertussis or the DPT vaccine for adults. We all know about the pertussis. We address this cough as in the children as kutta khasi, and it is typical that the child coughs, and there is an inspiratory whoof. And this whoof is missing in adults. That is the reason. It is not that the adults don't get this pertussis. Most of us are not aware that pertussis occurs in adults also. But in the studies we find that it does occur. And it is one of the causes for exacerbation of asthma and COPD. And because the cough is so bad, it can result in not many complications, which I will be just mentioning. Next, please. You see, it is very highly contagious. A single primary case can cause up to 14 to 17 new cases. Next, please. There are diagnostic challenges because the sensitivity and specificity are quite different. Cough can happen in a lot of cases, so it has a high sensitivity, but the specificity is low. Same absence of fever, the specificity is low. So post-tussive vomiting, the specificity is quite high, and same the inspiratory hoop, which is missing in adults. So the diagnosis is not made, but if you are investigating these patients, a lot of them, where there is an intractable cough, it may be due to the pertussis only. Next, please. Why there is a problem in diagnosis? Because the results of the culture is 100% specific, but you know, actually it takes 2 to 3 weeks for the bug to be cultured, and it's by that time the patient is all right, and we are not sending cultures for Bordetella pertussis. The PCR is again 88 to 100% specific, but it takes 3 to 4 weeks. Similarly, the serology is 72 to 100% specific, but the results come after 4 weeks. There are complications. As we understand that any cough, which is, continuous cough, there is the venous return to the brain goes down because of so much of positive pressure in the chest, and it can result in cough syncope. Otherwise, this whooping cough, brings down your, like measles, like influenza, brings down your immune status. So patients can develop pneumonia, sinusitis, otitis media, or they can be urinary continence, they can be weight loss, they can be rib fractures. You see, as the rib fracture is shown, at times there is a hemorrhage, big hematoma as shown in the slide. You see, India features amongst the top 5, next please. India features amongst the top 5 countries globally for pertussis. The actual incidence of pertussis is estimated to be substantially higher than reported incidence. We find the incidence is much higher. But then because we are not testing, so in routine, we think that it is not existing. That is not the case. Next, please. You see, 90% of the older adults hospitalized for pertussis infection have an underlying condition. Like they may have more than one condition, they may be obese, diabetics, cardiac condition, asthma, smoking, COPD, and other respiratory problems. Next, please. COPD, you see, almost doubles the risk of pertussis. Similarly, in asthma, patients are at increased risk of pertussis. Next, please. The advantage of pertussis booster vaccination, because it is, you see, once you give, you don't need a vaccination for pertussis or DPT for 10 years. And the immunity is really very good. As compared to influenza, you see, where you have to vaccinate every year in a particular month. In pertussis vaccine, if you vaccinate, give 1 dose, it is effective for 10 years. There are recommendations, you see, for adults in 23 countries, older adults in 16 countries, and high-risk adults in 10 countries. The gold guideline for adults recommend 1 Tdap vaccine, if not vaccinated in adolescents. CDC recommends in more than 19 years of age of all adults, and every 10 years you should give a shot. And the API recommends in 18 to 64 years, where there is history of complete primary vaccinations, 1 Tdap dose. You know, even if you have received full doses during the childhood or the childhood vaccination programs, the immunity does not carry in adulthood, and you need another booster so that then it is effective for 10 years. Especially those patients, you see, who are having chronic lung conditions or cardiac conditions, they should be given this booster shot of this Tdap vaccine. Boostrix is the name of this vaccine. You see, for diphtheria and tetanus, the post-vaccination vaccination response is 82.8 and 94.5%. And this pertussis toxoid antigen, it is 89.2%. And this hemagglutinin and filamentous hemagglutinin antigen, it is 95.8%. Pertectin, this is again an antigen of Bordetella. This is 94.5%. It is very well tolerated. There are hardly any complications. Similarly, you see there may be pain, redness, or some swelling, which settles down. It's quite a safe vaccine. And you are protected for diphtheria, pertussis, and tetanus. This vaccine has, you see, diphtheria toxoid, tetanus toxoid, and Bordetella. It has 3 antigens in the form of pertussis toxoid, which is 8 microgram, filamentous hemagglutinin is 8 microgram, and pertectin antigen is 2.5. And rest is the adsorbent in the form of aluminum phosphate. Well, this is the talk about this vaccination. I think we can discuss if there are any questions. Hello. Hello.
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
So, Dr. Kalra is not there. That can ask some questions first. Dr. Mangala, Dr. Poddar this side.
Yeah, please.
Ajay, did you say that this vaccine reduces hospitalization of heart failure or stroke, and how does it happen?
You see, these patients who are having heart failure, they have a poor ejection fraction. So any infection or the flu comes, the demand goes high, and once they are more prone to go into failure. So in that way, it reduces hospitalization.
Right. And similarly,
somebody has an ejection fraction, like somebody has a ejection fraction of say 20-25%. So these people, any kind of stress, fever, influenza is a very great stress on these people. You have to put their demand goes down much higher. The metabolic demand goes higher, and they can decompensate. They can go into pulmonary edema. So that way, it reduces hospitalization.
And what about this?
Okay, hello.
Okay, Dr. Kalra, I will ask now after you. Yes.
Am I audible now?
Very well.
Yes.
Very well.
Yeah, despite my little cold which I developed only yesterday. Sir, a few questions from my side, because I am very keen in prevention of lifestyle diseases and otherwise also. Sir, there are 2 major queries from my side. Different vaccine brands. One of them is our Fluarix, other is Abbott's, and so many other companies are making. They differ in their composition also. And I was deeply interested that say 4 out of 4 strains, one is Victoria, Cambodia, Washington and Phuket. This is one. And the other one contains 3 influenza A, Singapore, Michigan and Hong Kong, and one is Brisbane. So, out of these all, which one strain is affecting India?
You see, this Cambodia strain has been shifted because actually once the influenza comes, it is not that time you are making it. You are imagining that these strains are most likely to affect. So the vaccines are made in advance. And this Cambodia strain has come new. And all these strains, they have imagined that they are the ones which are responsible. And if they match with the weather, that the same strains are, responsible for influenza, then the vaccine is more effective. It is like that.
What I understood was that there are 2 different type of vaccines for northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere.
SS and NS, yes.
So these days people are more global. They are visiting both the hemispheres. So should they have a cocktail of them?
No. It is going by weather. You see that the influenza is coming in the northern and southern. Where it is coming in, you see, southern hemisphere is April to August. So here it is coming after September, October. So that is the difference.
No, that may be the difference. I am saying a person is visiting both. If a person is visiting globally, he goes at times in south.
You know, it will depend.
And then northern. So he should have both.
No, it will depend, you know, where you are staying, basically. Where you are staying. If you are staying in south, then you should take that vaccine. But if during that weather, you know, you are in the October, you are in this part, then you should take that vaccine, but you will take only one vaccine.
Okay. Anyway, so one is like we studied in COVID, that there happens a cytokine storm. Does influenza also cause cytokine storm?
Not like that, but influenza can, cause viral pneumonia. Once it causes a pneumonia and the influenza thing tickles down, or it is, because of the fall in immunity, it can result in bacterial infection. That is the more important part. Otherwise, influenza virus can also cause viral pneumonia, but not like the COVID. You hardly see viral pneumonia in most of the cases who suffer from influenza.
My next question is, there was a caveat that 6 months to 64 years. Why not after 64 years? Rather, after 64 years, we are having more immunosenescence.
No, yeah, that is the reason. These are the recommendations of India. But then for people who are more than 64 years, actually you should give Fluarix will work because it has higher antigens. Because you need a higher antigen in the vaccine to elicit better response.
Sir, I just want to understand.
You see,
why
in other countries
they have limited?
No.
Why they have limited till 64 years? Because after 64 years, rather, maybe we may have a booster dose.
No, that is what I am saying. For these, you need in Western part, they have vaccine where they put higher dose of antigen. But this, our Fluarix, this has actually more antigens because it has surface antigens and internal antigens.
Since diabetics are always having less immunity, so is it a take-home message that all diabetics, irrespective of their age, must get an influenza vaccine every year?
Yes, it is recommended. Not only that, you see, regarding influenza vaccine, the important part is not only if suppose there is a patient who has a chronic lung condition. So even other siblings should be vaccinated, because if somebody else gets cold, then the person who is in the house, you see, he can get infected, go into respiratory failure. But certainly, patients who are suffering should definitely receive the vaccine.
So I was seeing the precautions and being cautious. There was mentioning that having asthma, having respiratory problem, having pregnancy, lactation, they are cautious approaches. Any comment on this?
So that's what I'm saying, that if somebody has asthma, he gets the flu, then it is 100%, it will trickle down in his chest and he is heading for a problem.
Before the vaccine? For the vaccine, is there any precaution to be taken?
No, not really. Not really. Very safe vaccine.
And Polisorbate 80 is one of the contents. Like it was Polisorbate 50 in COVID vaccine, and there was a hue and cry that there will be reactions and all that. So is there any eye drop test or something to be done? We are not doing it any test before. We are giving it to everybody whoever comes.
Yeah.
We may simply ask whether he had any anaphylaxis to any vaccine. That is the only thing.
Somebody has history of allergies and drug anaphylaxis. I think one should be careful in the
hypersensitivity is the only thing to be asked.
Yeah, my suggestion is that we are giving these vaccines, but I think as and when you are giving these vaccines, you must load a syringe of adrenaline and one Ascodine injection in your clinic. If you are giving it in a clinic, you should load this. That is justified. At least you feel safe that if there is a problem, you can handle the problem.
My last question, sir, how effective they are? Like
that is what I'm
both vaccines, they are having so much of effectiveness. How effective is the influenza vaccine in general?
You see, influenza vaccine, they say 40 to 50% effectiveness. If it can, you see, it is not 100% effective, but in my experience and overall whatever the literature is, they are quite effective vaccines. And, the treatment part is very difficult. If somebody develops acute severe asthma, respiratory failure, goes on the ventilator, and even if you can reduce the load to 50-60% in these patients, I think it is a well done job.
At least seriousness will be affected. Seriousness will be reduced.
Not only seriousness, you see, if he is not getting flu, he is not getting exacerbation, maybe the year passes off well. It is a question that once, it is a kind of lighting, you see, lighting a jungle, dry jungle. If there is no matchstick lighting, so this exacerbation is not happening. That is the most important. Once you see it starts, then where will it end? It depends on the immune status of that individual, what is his lung condition. So there are not many things, but certainly anybody who has an allergic tendency and he gets flu, then he can't escape. Then he is heading on for a problem for a few months.
Very nicely explained, sir. I open the house for the questions.
Yeah.
Please ask.
Dr. Kalra, Dr. Poddar, I started, but you came in between, and rightly you were chairperson. So, Dr. Mangala, I will extend Dr. Kalra's question. It is not clear whether it should be given beyond 64 or not.
It should be given. It should be given. We are giving to all. It should be given. And in the Western countries, they are not labeled that. They are giving to all elderly. But you see, the antigen content is higher in those vaccines. And
So,
this vaccine, as such, it has higher antigen content because it has internal antigens also, as well as surface antigen.
So, above 64, is this preferable or any other vaccine? Influenza, I am talking about influenza vaccine.
The Abbott vaccine has only surface antigens. It does not have internal antigens.
So, this is preferable.
It's certainly preferable, yes.
In over 64 also, right?
Yes.
Then some doctors recommend that now this influenza vaccine should be taken, Southern Hemisphere vaccine in the month of June, because in India most of the cases are occurring in August, September. If you take in September, this doesn't prevent your maximum cases occur in September. So this is not prevented by the vaccine you are taking in September. So you should take in June. What is your opinion about that?
You see, this vaccine for the Northern Hemisphere comes only in September, October. You see, this is coming only in September, October, and there is only point of using the new vaccine for the new year. That is the only thing, because these viruses change their antigenicity. So this vaccine in this part comes only at this time, and for Southern Hemisphere it comes earlier. So people who are living there, they take that vaccine.
No, the doctors who recommend a vaccine to be taken in June, this Southern Hemisphere vaccine should be taken. And they know if the difference in species in between Southern Hemisphere vaccine and the strains found in India.
So that is what I am saying. Because the vaccine for Southern Hemisphere comes, the new vaccine comes at that time for the Southern Hemisphere. For Northern Hemisphere, it comes around September, October, like it came in October this time, 21, 22. And anybody who is taking this influenza vaccine must make sure that the chemist is not giving him the vaccine, you see, which is of last year, which will be of no use.
Okay. And suppose if the one person has taken Abbott vaccine last year, can he take Glaxo vaccine this year?
Certainly. No problem.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
I think cocktail is better.
Thank you.
Dr. Matra?
Yes.
Doctor, question, sir?
Yeah, please.
Pneumococcal vaccination.
Go ahead, sir.
Pneumococcal vaccination should also be given along with this?
Yes, pneumococcal vaccine should also be given, and the recommendation is you can give two vaccines at the same time, one in the one deltoid, other in the other deltoid. For pneumococcal vaccines, the recommendation for the elderly people 65 years is first you give a Prevnar vaccine, Prevnar 13, and after a gap of 1 year, you give Pneumovax 23 or pneumococcal 23 vaccine. because the advantage is that it is covering 23 strains and the Prevnar vaccine is covering 13 strains, but Prevnar vaccine is giving cell-mediated immunity also. You can give both the vaccines, pneumococcal vaccine and influenza vaccine simultaneously, but I am not usually doing, I just give a gap of 1 week, but the recommendation is you can give both the vaccines at the same time.
Doctor, one thing more. In a patient with kidney transplant along with diabetes, do you advise them to take 2 doses of Fluvinar, influenza vaccine, the gap of 1 month?
No, ideally a single vaccine is good enough. It generates a good antibody response.
Sir, they are taking immunosuppressants already.
I know they are inactivated vaccines. So, immunosuppressed patients should never take a live vaccine, and this single vaccine is good enough.
Thank you.
Sir, Dr. Mangla,
yes.
Just wanted to understand, for COVID there has been a fashion, even people are aware, they get their antibody tested. So for influenza, nobody is testing the antibodies. So for this immunocompromised section,
No, because it is
should get a,
yes.
should we get antibody tested, because has the immunity developed to the level we want, or we should give, because for other hepatitis and all we are giving extra doses. So there is no harm in at least testing for such a selected group of people who are on immunosuppressant and all that, so that we can understand whether the effectiveness is there or we need extra dose. Or your personal comments are. Maybe we don't have any.
Yes, recommendation dose, because the effectiveness is only 40-50%. It is not, and they have seen that in the studies that the antibody response is quite significant, but the effectiveness is about 40-50%, because the viruses they are imagining that these viruses will come in that season, and the vaccine is made in advance, and if this matches, then the vaccine effectiveness is higher. But you see, antibody testing is not recommended for influenza vaccine.
Definitely not for all. I just imagine that even for such a small group of people who are on immunosuppressants or cancer treatment or whatever, HIV treatment, like we are doing for other vaccines, we are doing for hepatitis and other vaccines, we are giving extra dose. We have a set
because their effectiveness is almost 100%. Here, as such, you are giving a vaccine, imagining that it is going to help you, and it does help for 40-50% of people. So the vaccine is taken and antibody testing is not recommended for this. Only in research studies they have seen that the antibody response really jumps a lot for all the viruses. If your viruses match with that weather, then the vaccine is more effective.
Doctor, one thing.
So, sir, please go ahead, sir. Yeah.
Patient is having pneumonia, is on treatment, and it is the hospital. At that very time, he can have the vaccination.
No, he should recover first, and then he should take.
Because a good month vaccine was due, and he has suffered already pneumonia.
Then you give him time. It is not that if he has not taken the vaccine in October, he can't take it in November. He can certainly take it in November.
Till he recovers completely, then only.
Yes. Give him a time. You see, 15 days, 3 weeks, they recover. Then you can take the vaccine.
I think this is good for every vaccine. No vaccine should be given to a sick person until he has recovered, because immune response will be disturbed.
Yes.
So, are there any other questions, sir?
No, I would like to again stress that you see, we should all take a shot of this pertussis DPT vaccine, because we are not testing, and in all studies they have shown that in adults this pertussis does happen, and when it happens, you see, in people with higher age group, you can have more cough syncope. I think anybody who's getting cough syncope and these things, we don't know whether he was having a whooping cough and taking one shot and having immunity for 10 years. I think it is worth it.
Dr. Mangla, just would like to touch upon one point. Sir, your visual is not coming. It was coming earlier, but your visual has gone off. Video.
Yeah. You can just touch your video and sir, it will come.
Is it okay?
So, Dr. Mangla sir, I believe that most of the tertiary care hospitals, they have their adult immunization program, and TDAP is also a part of it, and many of those who are going abroad for studies, they are advised to get it. It's a part of their immunization. So I have taken for myself, and I advise to most of my patients who are above 50.
Yeah, I'm so happy that you have been advising this, but I think most of the people are not aware. And one thing I would again like to stress that all our physicians, all our general practitioners, all the doctors of all specialties, as and when patients with chronic lung illness, heart failure come, you see, they should tell them that this is available and they should take it. You see, when some patient comes, like for smoking cessation, COPD patients come to you when they are having problem. At that point of time, if you tell them that you stop smoking, that has the maximum impact. If the patient is in a life-threatening state, you tell him you stop smoking, you see, lot many will stop smoking. Similarly, as and when these patients of pneumonia, they always ask you, Doctor Sahab, kuch aisa ho sakta hai, ye kabhi na ho, ye jad se nikal jaye. So we can always tell them that you take these vaccines. They are scientifically proven that they are helpful. Then we'll, kind of generate an awareness. I think the awareness has already come. Now patients come and ask for this vaccine. And more and more people will take, but I think there is a scope for increasing the scope of taking this influenza vaccine.
Dr. Mangla sir, thank you for a very wonderful presentation on this vaccine. I have some questions, sir.
Please.
Sure, sir, please.
Sir, my first question is for our asthmatic patients who at times need steroids. And suppose one of my patients is needing a steroid dose of 60 to 70, 80 milligram per day, and his influenza vaccination is due. So should I wait for his steroid dose to take?
No. You see, steroids are no contraindications to giving influenza vaccine.
Okay. So that is not a contraindication.
No.
Right, sir. Sir, my second question is, suppose one of my patients has taken a COVID shot recently, how much gap should be given?
At least minimum 2 weeks. Minimum 2 weeks.
Okay. All right.
And these vaccines become effective after 2 weeks.
They become effective after 2 weeks?
Yes. If you give an influenza flu shot, then you see the immunity at least takes 2 weeks. Yeah.
Right, sir. Sir, my third question is, for our diabetic population, we generally advise the flu vaccination and the pneumonia shot. How does the flu vaccinations help in preventing kidney issues in our diabetic population?
Actually, in general, somebody gets dehydrated due to fever, and in that way he can develop some acute kidney injury. Or other aspect is that when you are having this flu, you are taking painkillers. So in that way, you see, overall, it has been seen that it can result in acute kidney injury also.
We advise flu shots to all our diabetic patients, sir.
Yeah, that's a great thing. That's a great thing.
Whether they are young or they are old.
And you should generate more awareness amongst, all the doctors. I think the TV media, all these media should stress that influenza vaccine, taking a one shot, which is hardly costing anything, can really do a great job. Not only if you have taken this flu and you are not getting a flu, maybe your elder parents or your brother or sister who has some problem, because of you, they will at least not get infected. Even caretakers of elderly are given flu shots.
Sir, is there a scope of giving the vaccine twice a year, sir? Or it is strictly given once a year, sir?
It is usually, you see, the weather, this lasts for 6 months. The effectiveness is mainly for 6 months. But usually one shot is given.
No, you said the effectiveness lasts for 6 months.
For about 6 months, that is the time the flu occurs mainly. when you are taking this. That is the idea. Yeah. You see, all said and done, they are vaccines. They are vaccines. They are very safe. But some patients can develop even GB syndrome. It's not very. I mean, at times, occasionally. Everybody knows that vaccination can result in GB syndrome also. But I've seen that they are fairly safe vaccines. There is a scare only, but they are fairly safe vaccines.
Right.
Message is that anybody who is giving the vaccine, should keep the adrenaline syringe, even medico-legally, that, if something happens, once in a while anaphylaxis, at least you can say that you had this syringe ready and we at least treated them.
And Dr. Poddar, this adrenaline should be given, earlier it was said it should be given subcutaneously, but now it can be given intramuscularly also?
No, subcutaneously. Give subcutaneously. And in a graded way. See, it is a graded way. Give 0.2 ml, 0.3 ml rate because there is a sudden jump in the heart rate.
Okay.
And giving IV is given only for resuscitation, otherwise it can rise to ventricular fibrillation.
No, they say IM, it can be an IM.
Preferably subcutaneous. You can put the needle in the subcutaneous tissue and don't remove the needle, just keep on giving 0.1, 0.2, 0.3 ml.
I think you covered two vaccines, DPT and influenza. I think we should cover all the adult vaccinations. So next time we can have a talk on all the adult vaccinations, including hepatitis B, etc. That will be very nice. Thank you.
Dr. Mangal, my last question is on, now we are having tetanus vaccine which have diphtheria integrated into it. We are not having pure tetanus vaccines any longer. Your comment on that, sir?
No, it is.
We do have, sir. We have it.
This Tdap has all three, no?
Sir, what I am saying is that there are vaccines now from biological events and even from Serum Institute of India, which have, which earlier we used to get pure tetanus vaccines, but we no longer get pure tetanus vaccines. Now the government of India has mandated that every tetanus vaccine has to get diphtheria strains along with it.
No, Dr. Chauhan, no.
Sir, for pregnancy we are giving TT only.
It is available, but it is in short supply. That's why I have taken last month, but it was not available everywhere. You are right. It is in short supply. You are talking about only tetanus vaccine, no?
No, tetanus is required. Only tetanus should be given. Why should diphtheria vaccine?
Only tetanus vaccine is available, but it is in short supply. That's what I am saying.
Yeah, what I am saying is that now the tetanus vaccines are usually being integrated with the diphtheria vaccine, even for adult tetanus vaccination.
No.
Not really aware.
After injuries, we are still getting only tetanus vaccine.
The Tdap vaccine is an option, and where tetanus is required,
as far as I know.
I will just tell you, sir. I will just tell you. I have been ordering tetanus vaccine for last 2 years, and what I am getting is this, sir. Please. This is called BETD.
You are absolutely right, Dr. Chauhan, you are absolutely right.
Diphtheria and tetanus vaccine absorbed for adults and adolescents. And I talked to the distributor and he said, sir, all tetanus vaccines which used to come from BE as only tetanus vaccines are now coming with diphtheria and tetanus vaccine. It's called BETD. And this is for information of everyone, if you are not aware.
Yes.
So nice, sir. We will check it. But I
Government of India is running a conscious program to immunize every adult to give them a booster shot of diphtheria, sir.
If the Tdap vaccine is having diphtheria also.
Sir, I am not talking about DTaP. I am talking about a normal tetanus vaccine, and I'll tell you the cost. It is not as costly as the other Tdap that you're talking about. I'll tell you the cost. The cost, 20 rupees. It is for 19 rupees. It is for 19 रुपए की वैक्सीन है सर, ये 0.5 ml. It's called BETD. It is from biological event.
I have not seen diphtheria in last 50 years.
Dr. Chauhan, what you are saying, I have understood. What you are saying is
that there is a conscious shift on part of government of India to immunize every adult with a booster shot of diphtheria. Okay, and when you are giving tetanus, Dr. Podar is right that if you research and if you persist with the chemist, he might get you a pure tetanus shot. But usually the tetanus shot is now available with a diphtheria shot.
Yeah, it is right, sir. Like now I have got the reason why it is in short supply.
One point, sir. One point, Dr. Chauhan. All the calcium supplements have now incorporated vitamin D3. Most of them. I don't remember anyone is without vitamin D3.
Yes, sir.
Do you remember any?
There is
I
a
don't
daily
remember.
dose.
I don't remember any.
It's probably the government's
Because Dr. Mangla sir emphasized upon diphtheria vaccination, I just wanted to bring home the point that the government of India has shifted its attention now to the tetanus vaccination, and because so many people come for tetanus vaccination, almost all the standard tetanus vaccinations are now coming with the diphtheria strain with it.
So this is one addition to our knowledge, and similarly,
Biological Events is one of the premier companies which is making the tetanus shot. So
what is the logic?
Government.
What is the logic?
Government has iodized, sir. Iodization of salt is also from the government, right?
Sir, the logic is the one that you talked about. There are a lot of adults who have not been immunized properly for diphtheria, and you yourself mentioned that there are people who are getting diphtheria even in adult and elderly population, and there is no way.
No, I'm saying pertussis. I'm not saying diphtheria. I'm saying pertussis.
Sir, kindly, I would like you to address this issue in probably one of your talks, and kindly look into this, that all the tetanus vaccinations are now being reinforced with the diphtheria vaccine.
We will go through and research it.
Yes, sir.
That's fine, sir. It's a food for thought,
I think it will be an eye opener for everyone, every member, and kindly look into this.
Sure.
Absolutely.
I think we had a wonderful session with Dr. Mangla sir, and I would now like you to summarize this wonderful webinar.
कुछ कह रहे हैं?
हाँ, Dr. Mangla sir, बोलिए.
What I was saying was that we have pediatricians in the group in the talk, so maybe they can shed some light on this immunization issue. They do it routinely. Anyone taking Dr. Sehgal, Dr. Arora,
Dr.
Neil Kamal, they can shed more light on this.
चले आओ नील कमल.
I hope Dr. Sehgal is there.
क्या है नहीं?
He is left. Yeah, I can summarize. You see,
Dr. Chauhan, next time we can have this on adult vaccination. This is a very good topic. Next time we can have with some pediatricians also in the panel. Right. Thank you.
Sure.
Dr. Podar sir, I was myself surprised when I ordered tetanus vaccine for my clinic about 1 year ago, and the distributor told me, sir, pure tetanus vaccine nahi aa rahi hai.
No, I agree. Last month I had taken one, but I found it great difficulty. That I remember. I found it after 2-3 I inquired from 2-3 chemists. Then I got it. You are right. There's some difficulty in getting pure tetanus vaccine. Right.
Sir, अगर हमारे pediatrician friend नहीं हैं और Lalit, since you are on board, I would like to know your opinion about immunizing your patients for chronic.
No, I definitely tell them as such as people who have a history of having a very prolonged winter infections. I tell them to take it and I send them to the pediatrician friends. जाके उनसे ले लो.
Or Sir, Dr. Prasad, to take this controversy further, are you advising HPV vaccination to your patients? Male patients?
नहीं अभी तो नहीं. No.
आपने एक टॉक दी थी, कम से कम 3 हो गए हैं कि HPV वैक्सीनेशन का उधर भी काम है आपकी लाइन में, पर अभी तक शुरू नहीं हुआ.
नहीं, वंस इन ए व्हाइल जो पैपिलोमा वाले आ जाते दे देते हैं आपको, ज्यादा नहीं। ठीक,
वो कहते हैं ना ये कहानी फिर सही, एक बारी फिर एडल्ट वैक्सीनेशन पे आएंगे। सर, डॉक्टर चौहान सर, it was a very, very wonderful and eye-opener from your side. So rich talk and so rich discussion. I think now time to thank everybody and Dr. Chauhan to take over the mic.